Joining us now, Rick Waldenberg, CEO of Learning Resources.
Mr. Waldenberg, welcome. Let's just get right to it. What has been the impact on your businesses as you're planning for the upcoming holiday season into next year? What are you seeing, and what are other business owners like yourself saying to you about the impact of these tariffs?
You can't imagine anything more disruptive. We refer to this as Pandemic 2.0. We've been scrambling around to control our costs, to seek alternative sources for inventory. We've had to hire lawyers. Obviously, we filed a lawsuit, but there's other implications, too, in trade law. It's caused us to redo our financial planning, not to mention our budget and just our operational plan for the year. Pretty much everything in our company changed overnight on April 22nd.
You know, in terms of your lawsuit, Mr. Waldenberg, this is what the New Yorker wrote about your lawsuit and in speaking with you on June 9th. They write, when I first spoke with Waldenberg, he predicted that at least one of the tariffs cases would ultimately go to the Supreme Court. And he said that the justices would have a momentous decision to make. It is a case of whether we are a monarchy. How do you think the justices are going to come down on this?
Well, I think that we're in the right. There are two courts that have declared the tariffs illegal. And the fundamental issue really is it's a tax increase and who gets to impose taxes. The Constitution is quite clear on that. The power to impose taxes and collect taxes are vested in Congress. This should have started in the House, and it should have been voted on in the sunshine. It impacts every American. It's a $600 billion tax increase. A single individual does not have the right to do that.
A fight like this, though, a legal fight like this is emotionally exhausting. It is time-consuming. It is expensive. Why the decision to pursue this legal route?
You're right about all of that, but the reason is simple. We're a mission-driven business, and we're a fourth-generation family business. Our family's had a business in Northern Illinois for over 100 years. We take very seriously the legacy of providing jobs and supporting our communities, and our products are intended to give kids a great start in life. We simply are not going to let the government put an end to this. We're just not going to. It's time to stand up and fight.
So interesting, Michael. I think about how often we talk about who's going to be the final line of defense and how often we look to members of Congress and we say, especially with Republicans in Congress, why are they not acting as the final line of defense? We look to the courts, which we've often talked about, are not built as an institution to contend with the sheer volume that they are coming up with. And I am struck, I don't know if you are, Michael Simone, by the fact that you have something like the No Kings protests, where you have 5 million Americans show up in the street, but you also have someone like Mr. Waldenberg who's saying, I am going to make this fight my fight. And even if that costs me emotionally, even if that costs me financially, it is worth it because I am standing up for something bigger than myself.
Yeah, it's huge. Look, Mr. Waldenberg, whether you want to be or not, you are a big part of the front line that's emerging across the country now. Your legal documents are one thing. They say something to the court, but your actions as a business owner, as a citizen, says so much more, particularly when you look at what's starting to happen already, where you've got Hasbro on Wednesday laying off 3% of its staff amid the tariffs that are impacting everyone. And then you have this from the president himself talking about, the number of toys that little girls should maybe have. Let's listen.
Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know? And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way.
I mean, it is that limited thinking about what this moment means. Maybe, parents will just get 1 toy as opposed to 2, or, my actions aren't really going to change anything. It's everybody else who has to change their behavior. And that's why what you're doing, sir, I think is important. because you're saying without any hesitation, the president's decisions, the actions of this administration are having a real impact. And this is what it looks like.
Well, obviously that was a very inflammatory remark by President Trump, and he disparages what we do for a living, and he disrespects our customers and the families and schools that depend on what we do. It's just all the more justification to stand up and fight to protect this. No one's going to save us. We have to save ourselves. We also owe a lot to our employees. We have 500 families depending on this business, and we're not going to leave them in the lurch either. So it's a perilous situation, but we're going to stand and fight.